All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Listen, it's going to be your SITREP. It is 11 a.m. Central Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. And man, we have got a show for you today. I've got some data that has been compiled using Skyglass that is going to be pretty compelling when you see what happened relative to the Nord Stream. And we're going to get into it right off the gate or right out of the gate. But first, let me bounce over here real fast to our main screen without further ado. It is 9/30/2022, by the way, and let's jump over here now. Just FYI, Forward Observer. If you don't have this one in your quiver, I will tell you it's a must-have. These guys are actually former Mill Intel guys. That's where they get the name Forward Observer. But it's basically a small veteran-owned business, and we always need to show these guys our love. So make sure you go over there and check it out, forwardobserver.com. Now, here's some of the content. As you can see, early warning reports, that's the data that I use. You also get emails from them that have economic reports and a lot of graphs and detail. These guys, like I said, they are at the tip of the spear when it comes to this stuff. Insane. They've got early warning shows every day on live stream, 9 a.m. Central Time, and then early warning podcast stuff as well. But again, just go over to forwardobserver.com. And then you'll just follow the prompts, and it'll take you right into this screen, which is behind the curtain, so to speak. Okay. Again, definitely want this one in your quiver. So let's bug on over here. We're going to start off in Skyglass. Just show you what's up right now. We're sitting at about 373 mil aircraft. It is a little light. We do have this one Gitmo air. That's going to be the base commander coming out of Guantanamo Bay. Don't pay any attention to that. And of course, you know, we do have still that activity with the hurricane running right up into the Carolina area and Georgia happening. We won't go into too much detail from that. You will get a lot of aircraft. Notice it's nothing in this area. A lot of them are going to be bugging out heading either north or westbound. So again, very active. If you get down here, and this is the thing that I really love about Skyglass, is that if you kick it down to the side, it really gives you a good eye on the altitude deviations. And so you can very quickly see that we've got these Mill Intel balloons way, way above all the other traffic. This stuff is down here 25 to 40,000 flight level and or altitude wise. And these are up around 90,000, 80,000, 70,000, et cetera. So, all right, let's take a look at our watch list. We'll kick it off with that. In terms of Skyglass, just to give you kind of a general feel, and then we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what else is going on out there. Okay, so all right, again, there's your Mill Intel, another one here, and another one, and then yet one more. So they are eyes on us for sure. Notice the altitude on that, 90,000 feet. Now, we lost track of one that was over Bahamas, probably watching Trump, if I had to guess. But there's a Habal. That's a new one that comes in. It hasn't been turned over to the military yet. They're out kicking the tires. But we've got it captured, and so including the hex code on our watch list, so we'll be able to keep track of that. Now, we do have some R135 activity up right now, as you can see. One of those is actually the C-135. That's a nuke sniffer. As you can see, the difference right up there in our little HUD. As we look at that. But then we get down here to the West Coast, take a look at what's up. Got an E6 TACAMO. It's going to be a airborne command center. And then let me spin it around a little bit and get a better look. We do have, let's see, that's going to be your Intel birds. So those are those peacock looking things, Army intelligence outrunning. Then that's going to be Homeland Security right there along that border near Tijuana. Of course, we know there's been a lot of incidents going on down there along the border. So not surprised to see that. Now let's just kind of make our way across the United States. And you will see a flurry of NOAA birds headed back into Florida. A ball bird. And then another Homeland Security right up there near Buffalo, New York. I think that is. But let's get over to Europe. And you can see pretty light from a watch list perspective. We do have the Guardians up, which are going to be those Intel balloons. We did have just a minute ago, point that out, coming out of Malta, one of the CIA Greybirds. He has since disappeared off my list, so I can't find him. There's that E3 doing that man in the middle tight circle. So they're probably grabbing cell data and anything else within that region. And then there is that Army intelligence bird we see up, Yank 02 today. It's been Yank 03 in the past from a call sign perspective. But that's a little BE 20, Beach 20. It's, again, Peacock ones, Army intelligence, running routes up there over Latvia, Lithuania, that general area. Nothing else really to see when it comes down to this area from our watch list perspective. So let's get over to heavy lifts. Remember, these are going to be your traces for the last 24 hours. We're a little active in California. We do have some new birds coming into the East Coast. They look to be coming from Asia, so probably Japan. And then Florida, little flurry of C-130s down over Florida. And that teal call sign is actually going to be a Hurricane Hunter, okay? C-130 Hurricane Hunter. So they're probably flying into the storm right now. And then let's see what else we got here. Let me get over to Europe. U.S. is kind of looking medium to light. It's not over the top. But again, remember, these are 24-hour streams. So that's what's happened in the last day. Now we get over to Europe. Don't pay any attention to that one straight yellow line there. That's it may or may not be real. But then you can see we got look like some drop-offs there in Poland. We got some stuff going on up in Ramstein, which we're going to take a closer look at here in a minute. Activity over here in Portugal and Spain, all the way down into Morocco. Just a data point for us to watch. Everything is really starting to fan out. That's one observation I will say, because we've seen flights going all the way down into Ethiopia. Now, we get over here to Iraq. Notice there is a lot of right on the border activity coming out of that green zone, flying right along there as a green zone right there. And then we get a little further south. You got a couple. That's a Saudi Arabia C-130, and then a UAE, or United Arab Emirates C-17, looks to be airborne. So there's going to be that. Let's get over to refuelers, because this starts to kind of tell a story. That's a pretty good indicator of fighters up over that general region right on the border of Syria. And then that one is actually on the other northern border of Syria, coming out of Turkey. More than likely, we've got U.S. fighters in those areas, probably conducting some airstrikes we just aren't going to hear about, okay? All right, there's another air refueler. Yeah, Rake 20 looks to be over kind of Constanta area, which is kind of normal. And then this one, note the call sign on this is a reach. So that's that KC-135 is also multi-purpose, right? So it will carry cargoes, and when it does, it goes to that reach call sign, okay? And so that's why you're seeing reach versus a regular call sign, which means it's carrying assets across the drink. So over to the U.S., air refueling wise, got that launch, looks like coming out of the center of the United States, Oklahoma. And then we got some stuff coming out of Birmingham, Alabama. And then again up here in the Northeast. So it is kind of light when it comes to the air refuelers. So, okay, now let's get back to the main board. We're going to talk data here for a second. One of the things I will point out, and this is over off of forwardobserver.com, as we get into, let me find it real fast. This one, pay attention to this headline, and it is a very interesting data point, and the reason for it is because, and I'll show you in a minute, it's tied to uranium one. U.S. nuclear reactors receive about a quarter, it's 25% of their nuclear fuel from Russian sources, okay? All right, and it says here that the DOE, Department of Energy, will support a U.S.-based uranium enrichment industry through purchases of nuclear fuel. The U.S. has one uranium enrichment facility, which is owned by a foreign multinational conglomerate. Let's get over here to pay to play. That's exactly what all of this stuff was going on. You can remember you even had governors in on it from that's the Oregon Energy LLC. This was that big, giant Hillary Clinton Foundation scandal that every one of these people should be in jail. And not a one of them, to my knowledge, has been. I think maybe one guy out of this entire thing has been put in jail. But don't lose sight over here by Burisma. And notice that Burisma is tied to BlackRock, who is tied to, Shifty Shift. BlackRock, by the way, Chapter 11 in January of this year. Pay attention to that, because when the housing market starts to slide even more than it is now, that's going to come back into play, okay? But yeah, these are all the people that were tied into this whole pay-to-play scam where the American people were raped and pillaged for a period of time. Thank you, State Department. Thank you, corrupt administration. So, okay, let's get back to this one. And now we're going to delve into the meat of all of this. Okay. Now, I put a question out there in the survey to see what you guys thought relative to, is the United States, were they involved in this whole Nord Stream sabotage effort? And so let's take a look at the data. And I think some of it may actually change some of your minds. About 83% of you said yes, but there's still some folks out there that don't think that. And so we're going to watch some videos here, and then I'm going to show you the data from a Skyglass perspective. All right, here we go.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Yes, that little grin. Now, take a look at this. This box that you see, this has actually been pulled together. This is actually going to be your data. If you just see the big square, that's basically just the watch area that we have put into play so that you can kind of concentrate on just that. It's nothing else coming really around in terms of focal points, okay? Now, you see this aircraft coming in. This is going to be the live video. We're going to look at some closer shots as I point out the data. This is starting at around, I think it's around 3 a.m. The time slot is actually going to be in the HUD, bottom right, just to the left. You can see in the fluorescent green there the time, the actual time, not the one in the top left corner. Pay no attention to that. Okay, that's actually just when it was recorded as Skyglass was open. So you see the aircraft coming into this picture. I'm going to show you what aircraft that is. This is showing as a P-8 aircraft over on Open ADS-B Exchange. It's a Boeing P-8 Poseidon. That is a naval sub-hunter, okay? And that's key because we know this is an underwater attack. Were their comms established is going to be the big question as we watch this come in. Now, the other key to this is notice that it's a masked aircraft. It's got the NA in front of it. That means okay, hopefully you can hear me now. Sorry about that. I was showing the screen. All right, let me back up because I think I was on mute there. All right, so we're going to go through this again. I apologize. I think I muted myself after coming out of the Biden video. But, all right, so the box here, as I repeat myself, is basically the focal box, okay? This is coming in. The aircraft that's coming into the picture here is actually going to be an NA. It's a Poseidon P-8 Navy sub-hunter, but the NA means it's masked. That means that they cannot, that we can't track it per se. And the call sign is just a bunch of the little asterisks all the way across, okay, which is interesting. Now, the reason I point this out is because if you go look for this P-8 that I just showed you here, in the data, this is actually the one this is the same aircraft leaving the area, and you look up the hex code that's associated with this, which is going to be this AE. Let's see, I think it's like a 5861 or something like that. I can't make it out from my screen, but I'm pretty confident that's the number. Nonetheless, if you go look up the hex code, it is not in the database. So there is a high probability that this aircraft has what they call the rolling hex codes, where they can actually change identity, change itself. So it's very hard to trace and track. I tried to add it to my watch list, but because the hex code is not showing in the system, it's not in the database, you can't track it, okay? So let's watch it come in. Now note, when it comes in from the left to right, it's actually coming across. It's going to go into an air refueling cycle. And then from there, it's going to bounce out across into that region right over the Nord Stream stuff, okay? So here we go. The aircraft comes in. This is about 1.5 minutes long, folks, okay? So I'm going to talk to it as it's coming inbound. You can see it start to deviate. Right now, it's almost directly over the Nord Stream to pipeline. But it comes on across. Notice this this KC-135 comes in, and it goes into the air refueling together, right? That marshalling pattern. So now they're flying around. They're doing an air refuel hookup. This guy's getting some juice as he just keeps buzzing around for a minute. They're at an altitude of about 25,000 feet, okay? And then as it goes in, so they're at 24,600, I think, something like that. Right now, the time is you're getting up to about 4:30 a.m. I think it is, or coming into about 4:30 a.m. as it starts to enter over the Nord Stream area. Okay, so now they've got fuel, and you can see his directional heading is about to start changing, and he's going to bug out, and he's going to hook a right, and they separate, and so the air refueler starts to bug back to its home base, and then this thing comes in over the Nord Stream and starts to descend in altitude down to about 10,800 feet, and there it is doing a little loop, and then it starts to do some little jiggy line stuff. Okay, altitude is starting to change again. Now let's get down into the weeds of this, and you can see this is around 4:30 a.m. as it actually 7 a.m. as it's bugging out, but in the window of around 2:30 to 4:30 a.m. on the day of the detonation. Remember, they woke up and they said overnight somebody took out the Nord Stream 2, and we believe it's sabotage. Here you have what we believe is a P-8 Poseidon, which is a Navy sub hunter, but it also is a comms vehicle for subs. Now, I'm not a Navy guy, and I would love to hear from one of our Poseidon experts out there. I know we've got them that are watchers. If you can tell me, I don't know if that altitude allows them to drop that boom or whatever it may be, how they communicate. The P-8 Poseidon's a little more advanced than the P-3. Maybe it doesn't need to drop something in the water to comms with a sub. But nonetheless, it flew over that area at the wee hours of the morning before everybody woke up and saw this incident and bugged out of the area as an NA massed aircraft. It is U.S. military aircraft. And so there you have it. Like I said, share this far and wide. I think this is going to get some traction. I apologize for being on mute there for a minute. Sometimes on my OBS stream, when I go back and forth, I have to actually mute the YouTube because I'm showing a video that has sound. Otherwise, it starts to echo really bad, and sometimes I just forget to hit the right button to go back. So, all right, so I got us back on the right track. But as you can see, Skyglass, I mean, you talk about a powerful tool, having the ability to go look back in history and pull that in and then pop it down into the altitude. That's going to be the key that kind of separates it from every other tool out there, is watching that altitude line and knowing it dropped down to about 10,800 foot level from the 24,600 foot level, and flew over that area for several hours. The night, the AM morning time when that pipeline was attacked. Okay, so again, it's a data point, but you take what Flashbang said with that little eaten smirk on his face, and then it's pretty compelling data there because there was nobody else in the region. Have you noticed that? No other militaries, just the U.S. The only ones over that area when all of this went down. So you decide for yourself, but I'm just presenting some data for you, okay? And I think it's pretty compelling personally. So, all right, let's move on from that. We talked about Uranium One. We talked about the pay-to-play, and now we talked about the smoking gun from both coming out of the words of Flashbang's mouth, as well as the aircraft activity, which was only U.S., nobody else, at least that we could see when this event took place. So, okay. Let's see here. Let's get over to what else is going on. We do have this Brio 68. Again, this is another recon bird. You will notice in this picture, this is this morning, wee hours of the morning. It is based out of Constanta. It's taken off out of there, running further north than it usually does. It's right up along the border of almost Lithuania right here. This is Belarus. This is pro-Russian, but it's running just to the right of Warsaw. It's right along that border. Again, this is a intelligence gathering aircraft. And so when it is up you were actually grabbing data across that borderline there in terms of military assets. Now, yesterday, when I was on with James, we actually saw a C-135, which is the nuke sniffer, come in over Poland, right up against that border along Kaliningrad and Belarus, just like this flight right here. So they are definitely looking for nukes in these two locations, 100%. So it goes to tell you that is a very big concern for the United States and NATO right now, because as we saw in our last SITREP, the Russians don't have the best equipment in the world. I think if it came down to a full-on fight with the United States, we'd clean their clock. However, they do have a lot more nukes, and they're a lot bigger nukes than we have, and they probably aren't afraid to use them. And I could see this thing go hot very quickly, and that would be a different level of hot. Okay. All right, so here we go. Pentagon increases surveillance of Russian Kaliningrad as nuclear tensions heighten. Again, this is that RC-135 nuke sniffer, as they are talking about here, assessing the nuclear weapon activity. Again, we saw that actually flying yesterday, so we are in eye lock with Zero Hedge on what's going on here. Now, as we start to transition, I will show you the threat map from the Bit Defender side. Again, we're headed into a solid 2 weeks, going into the third week of a significant attack on the U.S. from a cyber perspective. Again, this is just one of many platforms that will show this data, but it is just, again, a data point. But it's why we're all getting slower internet and everything else, okay? All right, over here to Flashbang Schedule for the day. Let's see what we got going on. Not too much. Looks like he's got some Hispanic heritage. He's got some, as we head into the Jewish New Year and all of that. This is actually a big holy day in Israel right now, getting ready to start. So it looks like that's what they've got going on. Other than that, not too much. All right, so let's get into our Bohica for the day. For those not familiar with the term Bohica, as you know, I use a lot of acronyms because that's what the military does, as well as aerospace and defense. It's all about acronyms. So if I lost you, Bohica stands for bend over, here it comes again. So you got a new one you can add into your quiver. Here it is. U.S. Senate approves another $12 billion for Ukraine in government funding bill. And notice that Flashbang goes into the never, never, never. So he said it 3 times. He must really mean it, as he talks about Russia claiming Ukrainian territories amid the looming annexation. See what happens. But all right, moving onward and outward. Next one, Ukraine situation report. Another 18 HIMARS launchers for Ukraine. Ukraine could eventually field 34 of the HIMARS systems through a newly promised launcher. Though the newly promised launchers will take time to reach the battlefield. So they're not out there yet, but we just basically said we're going to send you 18 more. Some of these have already been destroyed. Great for business for Lockheed Martin and anybody that manufactures the missiles that are going into this bad dude. But nonetheless, this is what the HIMARS looks like. All right. And it is taken away from our soldiers and putting those into the field. Next up, this is going to be one for you. U.S. shoots down Iranian drone after unprovoked attack in northern Iraq. So we were just looking at, and I was showing you all the uptick in activity right along the border there between the green zone and Syria. And it looks like this is why we're seeing that uptick, okay? Kind of ties it together. And then here's another, as we just mentioned, as we went into the details, even NATO is saying that all signs point to sabotage of Baltic undersea pipelines. Well, I would imagine now that they see the flight data of only a U.S. aircraft rolling through there the wee hours of the morning between midnight and 7 a.m., and then they find out this has been destroyed, they're probably going to be having some phone calls with their U.S. counterparts. So, all right, let's get into the Navy, the NATO ship aspect of this. As you can see, still very large amounts of activity going on right now. But we get in, this is going to be where that area is. This is where we had the flight, which basically runs right along the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, okay? And so you can see quite a few military assets out here in the general area. And this one here, Sea Hunter Guard. These are basically sitting, the round dots. The ones moving, the arrows are movement. So, okay. And again, Kaliningrad, this is Russia. All right. And yeah, there you go. So we'll continue to watch it and see what happens. If we get over to the NOTAMs for today, this is going to be notice to all. Just going to go airman. I can't do the new one. It drives me crazy. But data point, notice that people are starting to lock down their borders. And this is Hungary, basically locking down, keeping people coming in from Serbia, Croatia, even Romania. This is the area that we've been watching. This is where you see a lot of that activity for reconnaissance in the area. Right here is going to be your Constanta port. All right, and this is where we see that Brio 68 taken out of. This is Crimea. This is Russia. And then notice a bunch of new boxes over here right along that border of Georgia. Okay, and then you get up here to the northern side. Belarus is also still kind of boxed in, but this is all really a no-fly zone by the in a roundabout way by the Russians. Okay, they basically are controlling all of this, so the U.S. stays out of it. In fact, when you see them come across the Black Sea with the Q4 drones, they will stay south of this box right here. Okay, they penetrate that box, they will probably get shot down, as I said before. So again, you get up here, notice there are some new box activities right around this Nordstrom area. And we'll just continue to watch that. Okay. All right. I'm not going to go over the U.S. side of it right now because this is really, really the brunt of what we're talking about. Okay. Okay. This is going to be your live action report. These are basically news articles or media feeds that come in and talk about strikes. Notice they are starting to go inward a little further, a little deeper. Normally, we haven't seen anything kind of go past just that red bubble, and they look to be putting in some new strikes in different areas here. So it looks like the Russians are starting to advance. Again, Moldova is going to be probably part of Russia, as well as these areas here that are now being annexed, and that just tightens the box in over Ukraine. Kiev is probably the one that will go eventually. I thought it would go already by now, because of all the activity to the north. But the fact that we've got some new strikes showing here on the northern side, we haven't seen that in a little while, could indicate that they're getting ready to come in here in numbers. Okay. All right, let's take a look at Syria. As we were talking about the military flights along that border, this is where we were seeing a lot of the fighter activity. This is U.S. presence here, U.S. presence here. And it looked like we had some fighter stuff up here as well. That drone is probably, that's a Turkish drone, targets a city. Okay, so that's the Turks doing that. This right here is a bioweapon, or not necessarily a weapon, but just notice the health board is now in Syria's regions, recorded 15 confirmed cases of cholera. And over here, let's see what we've got breaking out. New cases of cholera. So it looks like we've got some cholera entering the arena here. Simply amazing. Okay. All right. Let's get into the troop side of the house. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happened in the last day or so, what's happening now. This one, this is going to be a Sierra Pacific coming in from Tucson. That's a home base operation. Not seeing, let me go down and see. There it is. Okay. It's headed to Richmond, Virginia from there. Probably troops. You got an Atlas Air outbound. You've got a National Cargo outbound. So there is a little bit of an uptick. And then, of course, this one coming in, this is a Legion Air coming in from Asheville, North Carolina, probably bringing in troops. Again, Biggs Army Airfield is a location where they process everybody. They either go over to Europe or they go over to Asia. Okay, and we'll look at Asia closer here in a second. But we go in and look at the arrival boards. What is going to be the big thing that stands out? This is from this week, Tuesday to now. These are your charter flights, okay? And most of those are going to be troop movers, okay? Now, we saw that little uptick in Biggs. I said, let's watch for Ramstein to see if anything changes there. It did. Go look at the board yesterday in Ramstein. Those arrows right there are troops coming inbound. Those are all camber flights, which means we're pushing a bunch of troops in through Ramstein. Okay, and then if we go look at the camber flights this morning, a significant uptick. We're sitting at about 7 that were airborne, and that was about an hour ago. We'll see what it looks like here in a minute, but it does appear that we are in a significant uptick phase of troops being deployed. All right. All right, this is going to be Ramstein today. You can see, in addition to what I just showed you from yesterday, we've got Atlas Airs coming in. More than likely, that's not troops. They will be flagged as CMB when they come in, Atlas Airs. Probably your HIMARS and more weaponry for Ukraine. That's a camber flight coming in from Baltimore, Washington. Another Atlas Air. These are 747-400s. That's a very large aircraft. And then this camber coming in, another 747 coming in from Dover. And then from there, let's see where they go. We've got this one that looks to be headed to a position I cannot, Poznan. And we'll leave it at that. Don't know where that is. It's probably in Poland, if I had to guess. There's an Atlas Air coming, looks like it's headed back to Dover. And then this one here is Kaleta Air. And it's a 747. It's just one of those giant, big white 747s. It looks to be headed towards Amsterdam. I didn't see it come in. That must have been overnight or something. Just showing on the departure board, not arrival board. Unless, actually, you know what? That may be this one right here, that camber flight. So it brought troops in, and now it's headed to another location from there. Another Atlas headed to Dover. There's the Kaleta. We talked about that. All right, and then we get down. Nothing on the departure or en route scheduled-wise. Everything's already happening. So, all right. Over to the Asian side of the house, this is going to be Guam. Not seeing, we do have one departure. So it looks like that's going to be a Western Global 747-400 headed over to Yokota Air Base. So that came in for a quick stop into Guam and is headed into Japan. Let's go over to this side. This is going to be, let me see who we're looking at here. Awakuni, Japan. Again, another one. We're watching this. There is an Omni flight in here, which is definitely going to be troops coming inbound from Yokota. And then from there, it looks to be going to Kadena in Okinawa. And that is it. As you notice, my Japanese is much better than my Russian and my Chinese. I just can't get to the Hunter Biden level with my pronunciation. So maybe I need a crack pipe, and I can get maybe into that a little better. So just doesn't roll off the tongue right. Okay. So, all right, let's get over here at Okinawa. Again, we were just talking about this one. As you can see, very active. There's that Omni Air coming in from Awakuni. That's a Marine Corps station. And then we've got this one, which is Hawaiian Airlines. Now, I don't think that could just be a regular scheduled flight. We'll have to watch the board for a little while to see what it does. But I will tell you, just from living in Kwajalein for a year, that Hawaiian Airlines, it frequents in and out. It brings people back and to and from the island on a regular basis. And it also brings in supplies. So it's kind of a supply run to the islands. All right. Here are your camera flights. So, yeah, we did have a couple drop off the board. One, it looks like we probably got some new ones here as well. You can see extremely active all over the place. Still peppering people into the Asian Pacific, not to the degree we're putting people in over here into Europe, but again, very, very active. Notice it doesn't show destination. We just kind of keep it at a high level. We do know usually the bases are running in and out of, but I don't try not to normally drill down to the detail level. So these are all, notice these are 747-400s. There's a lot of people. Okay. A lot of soldiers. Omni Air, very busy. Again, troop movement stuff. Now they are showing their locations where they're headed. One's headed to Hawaii. That's just probably a fuel stop. And then this one here is up to Ontario. And then this one's coming into Shannon. So again, uptick, if you count these plus the 7, we're sitting at 11 troop moving flights today for Friday, plus yesterday, the Ramstein activity, which was another boatload of people. All right, Royal Air Force has landed. About an hour ago, we had 6 of them up, and it looks like they've all since landed at their destination. So we kind of caught it in between launch phases. All right. Here is one we did watch, though, and it is slowly coming back on. This is the first half of the leg. I will say it doesn't show what I thought it was going to show because it was coming back. So let me go down here. We're going to look at the flight. It's not giving it to me. Okay, well, let me tell you where it came out of. Down here in the very tip of South America. We've been watching the Brits pump people in and out right here over the last week and a half. So very, very active down here from a British perspective. I don't know what's going on. My understanding from intelligence drops about probably 8-9 months ago was that the Russians are down here in a heavy-duty presence. And so that may be why you see us putting some folks down here. Also, you got the Falkland Islands. We know that's a big British thing. So they may be putting some troops down there because of the Russians, okay? All right. From the Ruski standpoint, this one is still kind of showing on the board. We missed it. It actually was coming from across Russia, and looks like it has since landed and is now headed. From what I can tell, it's not giving me the full up information above it. But from what I can tell, it looks like, let me see if this one, yeah, here we go. This will give us a better eye on it. You can see. All right, so this is where it came in from, way over here on this side of Russia into, looks to be, let me see if I can get a name on that. Nope, I'm not even trying to pronounce that. OVB, let's just go with an airport code. That's where it was, and no word salad from me today. And then from there, it looked to be headed up to St. Petersburg. All right. Then Navy Logistics. Let's see what we got on the board here. I always just kind of show this because they don't just move things by boats, they move things by air as well. And it looks like we got about 5 of those airborne. It looks to have one here coming out of Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, or Carswell Field, sorry. And then some activity in Spain and in Italy, as well as Europe. All right, let's get over to just kind of take our mind off all this for a minute. We got a palate cleanser again today. This one I think is kind of interesting, so check it out as we get into it. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. Like I said, this Nord Stream 2 pipeline incident, man, I see all elements pointing to the United States, as bad as that may sound. But it seems like the Bobbleheads have been at work on this one. And I don't think they expected somebody to be able to track their flight to that level of detail. And just given the fact that we're the only ones over the area at that time is certainly quite compelling. So, all right, listen, that's going to do it for today. You guys keep that powder dry and stay frosty out there. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.